I think if you're building tooling for developers, just going with open source is a very good option. That's what I would always default to. Just build something in open source. And for us, we particularly built a drop-in replacement for an existing part of Rails. For our customers, they won't have to change any code. They'll just have to change like a settings file, a configuration. That was the idea of how it would be easier for them to adopt. Now, years later, we actually have our own protocol because we had to extend the protocol to achieve more. My name is Irina Nazarova. I'm the co-founder of Anycable and the CEO at Evil Martians.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
I spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do next.
Took many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve
I was
more.
proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Lappart, and today how Irina Nazarova has built a real-time delivery server with guarantees, presence tracking, and message ordering. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. Irina Nazarova grew up in Russia and has lived in Portugal, Turkey, and now San Francisco. She got a computer science degree but felt like an imposter in the dev world. She went on to get an economics degree and went to work for JP Morgan. Feeling little reward from her work, she read The Lean Startup and jumped out to build her own startup and eventually joined Evil Martians. But outside of tech, she is a person who loves hiking, traveling, and old school film and photography. She enjoys working with old film where there is high touch and you have a limited number of takes. Irina is the CEO of Evil Martians, a well-known design and engineering consultancy. During the time of the company, she and the team noticed that WebSockets solutions don't guarantee delivery. They decided to build a new solution, one that does guarantee delivery, through automatic recovery of messages during connection issues. This is the creation story of Anycable.
Anycable is an infrastructure product, so it's very technical, right? It's a tool for engineers. Anycable is a WebSocket server. It's something you use when you want to build something very interactive in your application. You can think about Figma, the live cursors, so you see what another person is doing, or you can think about Google Docs and you can see how other people are editing the same document. So this is usually done over WebSockets, which is an alternative protocol. So usually we use HTTP, right? Which is usually processing an HTTP request takes a bit of time. WebSockets are different because they continue being open. So if you establish a WebSocket connection, then you get messages the moment the other side sends them, essentially. So you don't have to pull or ask, oh, is there a new message for me? It's basically, a WebSocket connection is like an always open channel for listening for what other person is saying on the other side, right? Obviously, it means it's a different technology and it's tricky to manage those connections, to scale them, because in a way it's a bit of a different realm for traffic, for web, for exchanging messages. I think there is a bunch of misconceptions about WebSockets where a lot of people think that WebSockets are difficult to scale, they're not reliable, etc. And Anycable is one of those products, and I think is very unique in a way that we are solving this because Anycable's been around. The first production deployment was probably in 2018, and since then, we now have big companies like Doximity, which serves something like 80% of doctors in the United States. So they chat in Doximity, etc., and they use Anycable. As we were growing and looking at obviously helping customers resolve problems, we really honed the technology because there's a big difference between what you think this technology should have and really seeing a bunch of production use cases where people use it in all sorts of ways. And even if you think about what's on the server, what's on the client, there can be GraphQL in between. There's a bunch of different scenarios that you probably are not thinking about when you're just starting there. I think now we've built a very resilient, very reliable piece of technology. But having said that, it's also unique in a way that Anycable is open source software. It's MIT licensed. We do commercialize it, meaning we have Anycable Pro, which is a version of Anycable that is tuned for cluster mode. So for larger use cases, when you want to have a bunch of Anycable servers running. So this is where we think, okay, those use cases, they can pay us. So we'll commercialize this one, this side of business. And we sell licenses, which is a bit unique because most people sell SaaS. We do have a SaaS version, but right now we're not selling it. We just have a free SaaS version for trying it out, essentially. That's where we are. And yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Okay, let's talk about the MVP for Anycable then, the first version of the product you built. How long did it take to build and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
So for Anycable, the MVP was the very first open source version. And clearly, I think if you're building tooling for developers, just going with open source is a very good option. That's what I would always default to. Just build something in open source. And for us, we particularly built a drop-in replacement for an existing part of Rails. That's what we built. So basically, Rails introduced a WebSocket protocol. It's called ActionCable. It was one of the first frameworks to introduce a real kind of like WebSocket protocol, something. And then we thought, is it reliable? Is it scalable, etc.? And Vladimir Dementiev, my co-founder, he thought, let's build a version of the same technology in Go, so it's going to be performant and especially memory efficient first. And then we'll just build a drop-in replacement. So basically the two ideas were, let's build an open source for MVP. And second was, let's build a drop-in replacement with something that exists. But for our customers, they won't have to change any code. They'll just have to change like a settings file, a configuration. That was the idea of how it would be easier for them to adopt. Now, years later, we actually have our own protocol because we had to extend the protocol to achieve more. So now it's not a real drop-in replacement in a way, right? We expect people to use our client side, our server side, etc. And it's much bigger. It serves for any backend, any frontend, etc. But at the beginning, it was very simple. It was just again, drop-in replacement for something that already existed.
Kind of touched on this with the drop-in scenario, but I'm curious of a decision or trade-off that really anchored how you built the first version of the product and how you coped with that decision.
At the very beginning, again, we took the technology we liked. We felt that it's imperfect, that it can be done better. We decided we're going to redo it and make it really easy for people to switch to it, right? Just a config. And we also built for the community we knew really well. So this is Ruby on Rails community, where we have lots of friends, lots of people, lots of companies, lots of clients at Evil Martians, etc. So they gave us, first of all, they gave us a lot of feedback right away. They noticed us right away, right? So we already had, you could say, a connection to those people. And then we said, guys, if you want to ask us something about Inkable, here's our calendar link. Please pick the time, etc. So for any person who wanted to talk about it, we spoke to them, and we benefited a lot from already having a connection to that ecosystem of Ruby on Rails companies. And then we just kept building for them and talking to them. And for example, this is how a bunch of people said, oh, but what we really want from WebSockets is to service GraphQL subscriptions, because GraphQL came about around this time, and I think a lot of people envisioned that GraphQL will give them this instant declarative reactivity right away. So a lot of people told us that this is the dream, the hope, but they need a performant WebSocket server for this. And that's how we built our GraphQL and Inkable, etc. So we just kept building for what people needed, especially, I would say, cases where we felt there is business here, when we felt that, this is a real company, they have real users, traffic, etc. If they ask for something, we'll probably prioritize this a bit more than just hobby cases. So yeah, that's what guided us.
Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice.
This message is sponsored by Pilot. The thing that gets founders is this. You can look profitable on paper and still run out of cash. They need a platform to give them a real-time view into their books. And that's where Pilot comes in. Pilot is an accounting platform built specifically for venture-backed startups. They handle your books, tax prep, and CFO-level guidance, so you have investor-ready financials from day one. They've worked with companies like OpenAI, Lattice, and Airtable, and they get how startups are structured in a way that a generic accountant just doesn't. Pilot gives you a complete real-time view into your cash position, like burn rate, cash flow modeling, and runway, so you're never caught off guard. And when investors or board members ask questions, the answer is just there. If you're buried in bookkeeping, who's leading the company? Pilot handles the books so you can get back to building. Check out the link in the show notes to claim your discount.
In building Inkable, how are you maturing and progressing it? And I hear you taking some feedback there and less hobby cases and more bigger cases there. I'm curious about how you have matured it. And to wrap in a box a little bit, I'm curious about how you build your roadmap for it. How do you decide that, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address with Inkable?
Originally, our, you could say, playbook was, we'll get some customers, any customers really. And then we'll talk to them and write a case study with them. And then we'll tell everybody else that, oh, this customer, this is how they use an any cable and why they chose it, etc. And this will serve two purposes. One is we will learn more ourselves, especially when they let us into their decision making, right? So this is how we understand what they value. And then also they sometimes show us the details of the problems they resolve and maybe some incidents that they saw using the incumbent technology, etc. But we originally, this was our playbook. Get any customer, get them to write a case study, publish it, and get more customers. Like with that, what we were also publishing, and we are publishing a lot of blog posts. That's our typical model at Evil Martians, is to always try and publish something useful, something genuinely useful for our audience. And so they learn something, they use our open source, and then they come back for more, right? And then they either come back for Any Cable Pro for our license, or they come back for Evil Martians Consulting. When we were thinking what kind of customers we wanted, what kind of features we want to release, we were thinking what kind of customers we want. So I would say our roadmap is guided by, okay, we see this few cohorts of customers, which kinds do we want to attract more, right? And this is where a lot of them were bigger companies that worked in Rails ecosystem for many years. This is what we liked. And we do have our biggest public use cases for Any Cable are Rails customers. So yeah, this is what I think we chose strategically, that we want to work with this audience. And then I gotta say, a few times we did this. We had a customer who wanted something, they wanted something, and that was a bigger deal, and it was not a part of the roadmap. So a few times we had customers asking for particular features or integrations, and we just built them for building this. And this is how we have some of our features, because some of the customers actually paid us to build it out and then open source it. Other than that, I would say we're just trying to, for example, nowadays, how we're looking at this, we are trying to figure out what's the next big market that we want to go after. And we just try, we usually have a few bets and we try a few different things. Something small, for example, we can publish a demo or an example, like open source project in a new stack, or maybe for a new use case. And then we also publish a blog post about it. This is all relatively simple. For example, we published a blog post about integrating Twilio and Any Cable for voice AI agents, whatever. And you could think, oh, it's so niche, right? How many people want to integrate Twilio, Any Cable, voice AI? But for some reason, we do have a lot of traction from this very niche things. More than in comparison, we published an example on Vercel's website, which is big, but I would say there was less traction from that one. So once we have a real use case, maybe some companies, we see a company using it, our idea is this: let's publish it in some way or form. It can be a case study, or it can be a more abstract technical blog post just about this use case. And then we just see, oh, is there any traction? And if there is, then we keep going, right? We keep building maybe the feature or the SDK or more content, etc. And if it's not, it was a relatively simple investment, very relatively small.
Okay, tell me about team. How did you build your team? And this could be for Any Cable, and this could be also for Evil Martians, and all those things together. I'm curious about how you build that team, and what do you look for in those people to indicate they're the winning horses to join you?
I'm super proud of our team at Evil Martians. At Any Cable, I gotta say, it's me and Vladimir Dementiev. Vladimir Dementiev is doing most of the development. We do have support from Evil Martians. At Evil Martians, there are 52 people now, and we have SRE, and we have obviously backends, frontends, etc. And they do help us, and our editor, they all help us with Any Cable from time to time. But we're trying to keep it kind of more or less separate. I think our strategy with Any Cable was always, we did not raise venture capital because we did not feel that we're ready for this, that we have this exponential growth, etc. And I would even say right now I feel that if we raised capital a few years back, maybe it would have hurt us now, because now everything is changing and we'd have to be pivoting really aggressively with the product, etc. And Anycable and any Evil Martians as well, it's just profit-generating companies, and we feel pretty stable. So we mostly hire for Evil Martians, for our consulting company. I think we are iterating and changing our process in hiring this whole time. I'm with Evil Martians for 9 years. The company exists for 20 years. And this whole time, there were like many iterations. And by the way, recently, obviously, with all the AI technology that is people are using to apply for jobs, of course, everybody has to adapt. But I would say the main principles of our hiring is, culturally, I'm looking for people that, first, I want to be friends with, for real. Second, that I know that the rest of the team will want to be friends with. And what I'm trying to say is, personally, I might actually be comfortable with a wider range of people. But I know that in the team dynamics, I'm looking for a narrower kind of like culture fit. So I know that, in a team, for the person to be productive, etc., they need to be, first of all, incredibly self-organized, incredibly proactive. So they should be willing to communicate on their own. And so they need to be driven, right? That's what should be happening. But at the same time, they need to be humble, because there's a bunch of people, there's a bunch of opinions. All of our opinions often are very different. So we need to be humble to, what I'm trying to say is, I'm looking for the person who's not fully self-centered. I'm looking for the person who is also thinking of others and other people's perspectives as valid. And I know it sounds, plain, but it's actually often the opposite. In our industry, at least, I'm seeing a lot of people that are talented and brilliant and bright, but they don't consider other people's perspectives. And that's often what I'm looking for, healthy, productive teamwork. Obviously, we are looking for people that are thinking deeper about technology instead of just using whatever is the current default. We're looking for people that can think about from the first principles in a way, right? From the roots of technology. Okay, this is where we are, this is what we have, but it's not perfect because, etc. So I want people to show us that they can think deeply about the evolution of technology in a sense. Because it keeps changing, right? We want to be a part of the change.
This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's mezmo.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai.
Okay, I'm curious about scalability, and this would be particular for any cable. If you've run into any issues and how you design any cable, if there's been interesting areas we've had to fight scalability as you've grown.
It's funny, Anycable itself is solving scalability problems for other people, right? That's what technology is about. For us, at the beginning, we did a lot of hand-holding with our customers. And what we are selling is commercial enterprise licenses, right? So some of the companies are large and need a lot of support, etc. But I think we postponed building a self-service funnel for too long, I would say. So we could have built it earlier. I still think it's super useful to talk to every customer, but nowadays we talk to them after they're already onboarded, they already have the product, they already have the license, and then maybe they run into problems or they can give us some feedback. This is when we talk. It's like our funnel is now fully self-service because, by the way, thanks to Ruby on Rails, so this is the stack that we used to build our self-service checkout funnel and basically the application that manages all the permissions, teams, billing, etc. This is all, we built it in a matter of a couple weeks after postponing it for many years, I gotta say. It was much easier than we thought. And that's why I would say nowadays we feel we can manage much more as a team, so we can have more and more customers. We're not worried about that too much. I would say, obviously some of the previous decisions we did, right? I remember I said we experimented with a lot of different features for a lot of different customers, for a lot of different stacks, etc. Obviously supporting all of that, this is the biggest problem, right? And you could even say, but Ira, you said that was your strategy, right? You said you were building everything people wanted, right? And I still think it was the right one. I just think years later, of course, you have to consolidate. And you have to think, okay, for example, to be honest, I used this example because it keeps popping in my head. It's a real concern. I'm thinking about GraphQL and Anycable. We are supporting it. We could invest more into it, right? We could refactor it. We could improve it. The problem is it's not what people prioritize these days. I feel that the popularity of GraphQL has gone down, etc. And we do have big customers using our GraphQL integration, but should we invest more into this? So this is where we should prioritize to be able to grow. And yeah, this is the example of a tough decision. So far, we keep it at a certain level. We do maintain it. We do obviously upgrade it, introduce new features, but we keep it minimal. Because we will only invest more if we see some strong market signs that, this is going to be a driver.
Okay, as you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built thus far with Anycable and also Lupin Evil Martians there, what are you most proud of?
First of all, people growing inside Evil Martians, and we built this culture where people not only contribute to open source, they feel more and more confident to come out with their opinions. For example, one of our front-end engineers, Pasha, recently built a framework for web components. It's called nanotags. So essentially, he said, I wanted to use web components. I was missing something. Here it is. I built the missing part. I built it, and we used it on a customer project, and then we wrote about it and published it, and it's open source, etc. So I'm super happy to see this. I'm super happy to see people feeling confident that, yes, there's the whole world using React, but I can have a different opinion. It's fine. And it's useful. There are applications, and yeah, I'm definitely proud of that. I'm also super proud of our role in the Ruby on Rails community. And yeah, maybe the role I also played in kind of re-energizing it and surfacing all the success cases that we're seeing. And one example is we're running the San Francisco Ruby Startup Conference for the second time now this year. And we're going to have the president and CEO of Y Combinator, Gary Tan, giving a keynote at that conference. The reason why he's doing this, for why he's giving a keynote at the Ruby conference, is because he's building with Ruby and Rails and AI and all of that. Lots of people are doing this. It's kind of like I feel that there's a lot of different opinions and kind of like negative opinions about Ruby and Rails in broader ecosystem. But what we are doing is we just realized that, we are productive today in this stack. This stack has improved so much. It has gotten super performant, etc. And I think, again, where I'm proud of is where we took a stance, right? We kind of brought our own opinion and we acted on it. We made a choice and we acted on it. And then we're investing in this conference and this ecosystem, and I'm running a SF Ruby meetup, which is my best activity of each month, I think. So yeah, that's what I'm definitely proud of when we make decisions, we have our own opinions, and then we act on them, regardless of what majority of people, etc., will say.
Okay, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
One big mistake I made at Anycable was buying into this idea that there is a technical founder and there's a non-technical founder, and the roles are split so that the technical founder is in charge of the product and the non-technical founder is in charge of sales. And I think it's wrong, the wrong premise. What I'm trying to say is, at least in building a developer product for engineers, everybody has to be technical, regardless if you are, I see, kind of like a CEO, CTO, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody has to be technical. Everybody has to be using the product, contributing to the product, and bringing the perspective. I would even say that often the founder or the original author of the open source or the engineering product often has a bit of a biased view of how easy it is to use this product. So obviously everything is built the way this original author thinks is natural, but nowadays I'm bringing more opinions and more vision to Anycable, and I think it helps the product a lot. Maybe it's not shy, maybe I should be more humble, but what I'm trying to say is I think it's a mistake to separate the roles in a startup so much as to say, this is my zone of responsibility, this is yours, and will never overlap. So I actually think there should be much more overlap and much more shared, much more, you could say even conflict, right? Different perspectives, people bringing different perspectives and people actually working to get to common ground. And I think when we started doing this at Anycable, this is when I realized, all right, this is what's missing for Anycable, for real, right? For example, I think we're missing real-time primitives. We're missing something that would feel very natural for people to build with. And it's not even frameworks are missing it. If you are a co-founder of a startup, obviously you should bring all of your opinions, all of your perspectives into this melting pot and ensure that you're getting heard and ensure that, you can come to a mutual understanding of stuff. Instead of just thinking, because the reason I'm saying this, I'm seeing teams that fall into the same trap where there's what's called technical co-founder, non-technical co-founder, and they split their roles as if it's a Chinese wall. You cannot cross it. But they would have built a much more appealing product for customers if they allowed each other's perspective to intertwine, to communicate, if they shared those perspectives and then maybe debated. Yeah, debated for sure. Yeah, so my mistake was not debating and not defending my ideas and concerns a lot at the beginning.
This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Your coding agents have access to your code base. Maybe you even connected other tools via MCPs. But access doesn't mean context. Agents can't reason across MCPs. They don't know your architectural decisions, your team's patterns, or why the API was shaped the way it is. So agents look in the wrong place and deliver bad outputs. Then you spend time correcting. More loops, more tokens. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. Let's move forward then. So tell me about the future for AnyCable. What does the future look like for what you've built, for the product, for the industry, all the things?
My hope is that with the new technology agents, harnesses, etc., we'd be able to give better guidance to people on how to use all those maybe a bit more complex tools that we're building. Basically building out the what's called agent experience for our libraries, our tools that we built for developers. What I'm trying to say is, originally we needed developers to learn. You needed developers to learn your library, right? To read the documentation, to understand it, to learn the nuance. Nobody has time for that, as we've learned, right? But sometimes it's difficult to design the product so that your user knows nothing about the specifics of, let's say, WebSockets, etc. So what that used to mean is that you either had somebody on the team passionate enough to learn how to use your tool, or you're just not able to sell it. Nowadays, the hope is, I'm an optimist, right? Let's say. So I think the positive change that we're seeing with AI is that hopefully agents will be able to learn that. And they are to a certain extent, obviously, but it's improving. So agents will be able to use our tools, and our job is to build better agent experience, right? Give them, luckily their agents are reading your logs, your output, the CLI output, etc., versus people not reading it. But yeah, we can now build tools for agents, and hopefully more and more people and products will be able to use those tools. And one example is, again, when I'm building on Rails with Cloud Code, I'm able to deploy AnyCable, even though, yes, I sometimes run into some particular questions that I maybe, even as a co-founder, I don't know how to answer, but then we figure this out together with Cloud Code. And yeah, I can build lots of stuff, and I hope we're now bringing this to more stacks, to JavaScript, to Node.js. I just ran a bunch of benchmarks for Node.js stack, comparing AnyCable to a bunch of other solutions. Anyway, there's also Fast API, so that obviously is missing tooling for real time. And it's a really reliable and scalable tooling for that. So yeah, this is where I'd want to go. I'd want to cater to more frameworks. But yeah, my vision for the future is hopefully we'll be able to teach the agents that everybody's using nowadays to use our tooling. And this is how the tooling will be used more, right? It will be just more accessible for people to use. And I'm hoping that as engineers, again, I think our job is to build those tools. And then people, not only engineers, but normal people, doctors or lawyers, etc., they are the ones building a lot of software for themselves, software that they want. And so they just create more demand for better tools. And we are passionate in building better tools. So I think there's a match.
Let's switch to you, Irina. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to, and why.
I think I'm this person who is doing a lot of introspection, and I guess many CEOs, you have to train yourself always to introspect your own decisions, right? Because maybe nobody else will. So I'm doing that a lot. A lot of what I'm doing is based on maybe the philosophy and literature that has influenced me early on. But nowadays, I like people that are grounded, that are able to see the complexity of the world. And I like people that are able to turn this into something positive and nice. So I would never say that, this CEO who raised billions of trillions, whatever, is inspiring me. No. I'm mostly inspired by people who are, like I said, who can be nuanced. For example, Aaron Francis, I would mention him, is one of those voices online who is positive. At the same time, you could see that, obviously he has his struggles, and etc. So I like people like that who can show you that they are humans, that they can see the complexity of the world, and they can still find a path in this complexity. Because this is what I think the truth is. The truth is never something like, oh, today the world has changed and we all should just quit our jobs and, I don't know, sit and wait till we get universal income from AI working instead of us. I don't like bullshit like that. I don't like, sometimes I'll tell you, I don't like what, I don't know, who was it? I think it was Satya Nadella recently published something I didn't like at all. I thought it looks like AI slop. I like some of the economists. There's this website, Marginal Revolution. Yeah, it publishes nice links about research and just stuff. I like John Cochrane from Stanford, economist. Yeah, his opinions on macro. But yeah, just normal people doing normal stuff, more than stars.
Okay, last question, Irina. So you're getting on a plane. You're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit, several times and in different capacities?
My advice is to find the people that you are passionate to build for. I call them your audience. This can be an engineering community. This can be a particular type of person, maybe a person who's interested in something, etc. But there needs to be a genuine love for these people. So what I'm trying to say is, very often I see founders being in love with the product they're building. But this kind of wears off quickly. We are here for the long game, I think, and we should design our lives so that what we are doing is something we genuinely love. And then I call this success, really. I think if you're doing something you love and you are true to yourself and you enjoy your life and you feel comfortable, etc., this is success. And I think this is often more success than people who have trillions of dollars, because often they are not comfortable and maybe not necessarily doing what they love. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think our job as an entrepreneur is the person who's taking charge of their life. So not just following a beaten path, right? But inventing the path, designing their life. And if you're designing your life, you should design it so that you are happy, right? And you are happy when you're doing something you love. And you're successful if also when you are building for the people that you really love building for. And you should be loving these people, honestly. And this is when you can build this connection with them over the years. I actually don't believe in overnight success stories. They happened. This is cool. But they're not building out the foundation often for the rest of your life. And I think for the long term, you want to find people that you love and keep building for them. Today it can be this product. Tomorrow it can be another product. In 5 years it can be, I don't know, an education or a course, or doesn't matter. Maybe non-profit at some point, but doesn't matter. I think as long as you keep investing sort of your time, your energy, your love, your emotions into people, they will always give back, because your products, your businesses can come and go, but your relationships will stay. And I think your strategy should be, how do I build relationships, and kind of a relationship with a big group of people, right? With a big category of people. And you start small with maybe a smaller group, and then maybe you can grow it as you go. But I want you to think about your relationships with people, you knowing them and them knowing you, right? Both ways, as something that stays, that you keep investing on, regardless of whether this particular product grows or not. You'll have that. You'll have those relationships.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Irina, thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for telling the creation story of Anycable by Evil Martians.
Thank you.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.